Hola Madridistas, welcome to the preview for our game against Sevilla at home. This is a team who's never made it easy for us, and there's also the big elephant hanging over us, the emotional return of Ramos at the Bernabeu for all of us. But before we get into our agenda for today, a word from our sponsors Manscaped, who are the pioneers for male grooming. If you want your balls smelling great and feeling soft like a marshmallow, go check out manscaped.com and check out with the code LBR20 for 20% off and free shipping. That's LBR20 at manscaped.com. And an additional bonus tip for you usual listeners who miss Farooq, go check out our Instagram page where we posted his picture posing with all of the Manscaped products. And Mo, did you see how happy Farooq was with Manscaped? Do you miss him?
Man, like it is impossible not to miss Farouk. So that's a redundant question. But yeah, like Farouk actually had some issues with his WhatsApp, so he was saying like I had to be the kind of middleman, transporting pictures from Farouk to Sunet. So it's kind of funny. I saw all of those pictures and I was like, man, this guy should be on the cover of GQ. Like Sunet
Yeah.
said in the WhatsApp group. So I mean, if there are any agents looking out for some male model talent, even if Manscaped is looking for some modeling talent, Farouk is the guy to go to.
Absolutely. And we have Madrid TV in the comments already. He says, Hala Madrid, pick up the panel.
Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid indeed. Yeah, man, let's get down to business, especially since, you're feeling a bit under the weather. And hopefully this is a quick one. But there's a lot of stuff to discuss. An important game. We floundered a bit against Rayo in the last game, but luckily, Girona didn't capitalize. But Barcelona, they're slowly inching towards the second spot. Do you actually think the Spanish FA, they do some bullshit and then somehow Barcelona becomes second?
I don't know, and Girona might do it themselves, so they might not need to do anything. But yeah, like I kind of understand where everybody's sneaky suspicion is coming from. But the funny thing is, like my Barcelona supporting friends always keep crying about, everything in Spanish football is against us and all of that shit. Just yesterday somebody sent me I think it was a tweet, and they were crying about the FFP rules and everything. So like even if they go through, they'll still not accept that maybe the RFEF and La Liga kind of help them. They'll still find something to complain. So it's gonna be funny. But yeah, man, overall, I do hope. There was a funny thing that happened yesterday. Girona, they kind of made a post on their Twitter saying that they are going to display Manchester City's trophies. So anybody who wants to come and take pictures can do that. So I kind of found it funny. It's like this team, instead of trying to appease their fans by winning their own games, they want them to support City. So as some people would say, the game is not even in the room right now with us. So yeah, and when you think about that, I would rather, you think, oh man, maybe it's better that Barcelona, finish above Girona. We don't need this bullshit in La Liga. Yeah, but I mean, whoever finishes second, finishes second. What can we do? As long as Real Madrid finishes first, I'll be happy.
Yeah, with the Girona thing, I kind of understand, man. Like, it's probably like the only time Girona fans can actually see a Champions League trophy, post with it. Like, even if it was Barcelona's Champions League trophy, I would definitely go and take a picture.
I mean, the funny thing, for me, the thing is like you are an independent club who's fighting for the Champions League, right? If they get in the Champions League next year, what are they gonna do? Like if they're drawn with City, are they gonna be like, yo, you man, you go and score? We're just gonna stand over here.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, there's a philosophical question about whether how UEFA is tackling all these multi-club ownerships and how do you regard them. So for me personally, I'm not a big fan, of having multiple teams in the same confederation. So for me, Girona is like a plastic club, and
uh,
ruining football. Like old man yelling at clouds.
yep.
It's like the genie is already out of the bottle, so nothing can be done. So for me personally, yeah, I don't really like Girona. So it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. And let's get into Sevilla, man. Not too different from the last time that we faced Sevilla. They're absolutely struggling. Back in December, before the January break, they were 16th. They sacked their coach. Kike Sanchez came in, and now they're 15th. So the sacking of the coach didn't do too much. It's just, we were discussing about this, and it looks like just from the starting lineup, it's like the whole team is kind of substandard, especially in the middle of the park. The only like
Yeah.
good name over there is El Nesiri, and obviously their defense is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I think I was actually having this chat with a couple of my friends like a few months ago, and we were talking about like why Sevilla is struggling so much, and it's kind of like down to what you said. They don't really have quality. Their old players are kind of like very old. Like Ramos is like 38, 39, and whatever he is, and everybody else, like
Wait,
whoever
is
you think is
Jesus
quality.
Navas actually older than Ramos? I'm not sure.
I think so. Yeah, Jesus Navas is probably older than Ramos, or maybe he's the same. I don't really have the exact numbers down, but the point is like all the quality that they have in their squad is like from the older players. The younger ones, like maybe like I kind of find it funny that we're calling Suso younger, but yeah, relatively he's probably younger than the others. Yeah, Suso and even I think yeah other players that they have they aren't really that good. There's one young guy in Juan Luis Sanchez who's been like who's been linked with Real Madrid at right back position. Who's I think probably could be classified as a guy who's probably had have some quality. Has some potential in the future. One to watch out for. But apart from that, I don't really see anybody. Players like Jibril. So I mean, they're good. They're decent players, but they aren't really that great. And Boubacar Soumare, he didn't really. Although I like signing him on FIFA always, like my brother always reminds me. But the thing is, like this guy went to Leicester City, couldn't cut it, and now he's at Sevilla. So he kind of like is emblematic of where they are right now. Signing like middle of the road players. They've gone from Kunde and Diego Carlos to who probably had the best defense in Spain with that one season in 21-22, and I believe they had Bono as their keeper, and now they don't really have a decent like their keeper is like so,
Yeah.
and their defense, although Ramos is there, but we all know Ramos is in the Ramos of the old, without being too harsh on him. So it is kind of sad to see where Sevilla is right now.
Yeah. Gone are the days when they actually, actually went out and won the Europa League every season.
Yeah, with Freddie Canute and all those guys, man, they had something special going on.
Yeah. I would say like the other other plus thing is that Loic Bade, like young French centre backs are always
Yeah,
good for
I
the team.
think they tried to sign a quality player in Nianzou as well, the guy from PSG who went to Bayern, and but didn't work out there. So I think they kind of tried to do something over there. And we were talking about Europa League. We kind of have to give credit to the fact that they won the Europa League last year. But then the quality isn't there. It isn't the same, and we were kind of surprised that they won the Europa League last year, given how bad they were in La Liga. So again, this season, in the Champions League, they couldn't do much, and right now in La Liga they're struggling again. So the lack of quality is kind of it's there to be seen. But overall, like you said, not much quality in the squad.
Yeah, that Europa League, like it was crazy. It was El Nesiri pulling them through somehow, and then a lot of luck actually helping them out.
Yeah, and I think even from that last season they've kind of lost Bono, right?
Yeah,
Bono he's gone to Al Hilal, so even that squad has like lost some of its talents. Rakitic went to I think one of the Arabian clubs. I'm not exactly sure which one, but yeah, he went there in the summer. So even less quality now.
absolutely. So yeah, man, like so they like us, they aren't that lucky with injuries, especially coming into this crucial part of the season where they actually have to, pull something out of their asses to get a decent position in the league. So I'll list out the players that they're missing. Acuna, Lukebakio, Agumi, Mariano, Marcao as well. So, so when was the last time you actually saw Mariano playing?
I don't know, and he was at Real for so long. I didn't really see him. So for me, this thing is like whenever I hear Mariano, I think yeah, there's a guy who's gonna be injured. So him and Hazard like they were protecting rest of our players last season. So yeah,
Yeah, fuck yeah, I do miss that aspect of Hazard and Mariano. But even last
yeah,
time
but
when we
Hazard,
played against them, I think Mariano was still injured.
yeah, for me, the thing about like Hazard has been going around all the podcasts and talking a little bit too much, and that's kind of annoying me. I never like kind of went after him when he was injured because injury is part of the game, so you can't really do anything about that. But man, the way he's been talking has been irking me off late. But yeah, about Mariano, the thing is like even at Madrid, he used to be constantly injured for some reason. I hope there is no deeper underlying issue that's like harming him and has like it potentially could end up like affecting his quality of life in the future and everything. So I hope everything is all right. Don't want to be too harsh, but like it is kind of disappointing to see where Mariano has fallen. Especially after he did a good season earlier and then Madrid like brought him back. I think even back then there was the option of him going to Sevilla. I kind of wonder if he had gone back to Sevilla instead of coming back to Madrid, what would have happened then? Because first season at Real Madrid, he scored a couple of goals that were pretty good. I remember that one long range, I think, goal that everybody probably had in their mind about like he scored like 5 goals for Everett, so you kind of know most of that. So yeah, I kind of do wonder where Mario no might have ended up, but yeah, man, I hope he has a decent career from here on out. Perhaps not tomorrow because he's gonna be injured. So, but after that, I hope he has a decent career.
Absolutely. For me, the top Mariano moment that I remember after he left Madrid is, do you remember him going under general anesthesia just to get a leg tattoo?
Yeah, I do remember that. That's like one of the most iconic Mariano things. That and the fact that he had a lion and his iconic double ponytail hairstyle.
Absolutely. Man, is that even a double ponytail? I don't want to get into it. It's
Yeah, let's not talk about it.
yeah. But yeah, speaking about Hazard, like I feel like he is basically implicating himself and like his lack of mentality on like trying to win things, and he just wants to have fun wherever he goes. I feel like it isn't like too much of like slating Real Madrid, but instead like talking about himself.
No, for me, it's like yeah, like you said, he's just showing why he was a poor cultural fit at Real Madrid. For some reason, for me, what irks me isn't the fact that he's kind of trying to get back at Real Madrid, because I think it isn't that it isn't that malicious. But for me, what is like more irritating is the fact like how he's talking about Cristiano, because although I'm like not the biggest Cristiano fan, I respect him and I think he's like one of the best players I've ever seen play. But like the way he's been talking about him is like been kind of irritating, saying stuff like I only consider Messi to be better than me and all that blah blah blah. Feeding into the rhetoric about Cristiano, because yeah, man, I think while Messi might be more like uniquely talented than Cristiano in some aspects of the game, I think Cristiano is also very incredibly talented. People try to reduce his all of his good stuff to hard work, when it's like hard work helps, but you also need to have some talent. You can't just succeed based on hard work. So, and Cristiano is like incredibly talented as well. When he was at United, we all saw, first time we all saw how skilled he was technically as well, and the fact that he refine his game to be more efficient shouldn't be held against him. So for me, Cristiano, the way he's been talking to him, being disrespectful, is like I kind of didn't like that. So that's the thing that hurts me more. But yeah, overall, about like what he's saying about Real Madrid is like you said, he's kind of implicating himself and showing himself to be a poor fit. And it kind of goes into what Mourinho used to say about him. The thing is, like, if he had Cristiano's dedication, he probably would have been a better player, but he didn't have it. So, and the results are there to be seen.
Beautifully. Right then, I guess let's talk about the matchup. The last few games, Sevilla had been doing decently well. They won 2 or 3 of the last 5, drawn the other 2. They haven't had a loss recently. And it was against difficult opponents as well. Like after the Girona thrashing, they won against Atleti. They drew against Valencia. I mean, I did see like parts of the game, the second half. They were incredibly lucky to come through with a 0-0.
Yeah, man, I heard they barely had a shot on target. So you like kind of say what it is, and Real Madrid like going to this game, if we don't at least get the 3 points, I would be incredibly disappointed. So Sevilla, I think like they have a pretty bad team right now with players like Lucas Ocampos. Like one of the websites list him as out. So if he's not going to be there in the game, like we are going to be disappointed if we don't come away with 3 points. Despite the players that we're missing. So for me, Madrid, like we have to go into this game with the mentality that we need all 3 points, whatever happens.
Absolutely, and especially with the injuries, like this is the opportunity. Even though they have having kind of a good moment, I feel like we have more than enough, even with our injuries.
Yeah, man, like we should, especially given the fact that there's some hope that Rudiger comes back for Sevilla. I mean, we shouldn't really put the pedal, like, no, we shouldn't pull our foot off the pedal. Barcelona are like only 8 points behind. It's like 3 games, so we have to be extremely careful about that, given the fact that one of the games is going to be against them at the Bernabeu. So we have to take it like very uh, extremely carefully. We kind of got lucky last week. We dropped points against Rayo, but Girona kind of managed to lose to Athletic. So it's good for us. We should like make use of this luck.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought for sure like we were gonna lose our lead up at the top, but then Athletic Club now they've been like really helping us out, really giving the other teams some trouble.
Yeah, man. For me, that also kind of like worries me because I think Athletic they kind of are expected to come to Madrid against the Bernabeu, so we are yet to play them. So that game is going to be kind of I think important, especially given the fact that Athletic this season they haven't really done well against lower quality opponents, but when it comes to big teams, they have always brought their A game. We kind of played them at the start of the season, so that I think it was the first game. So we kind of got lucky that we didn't really have to face them in their when they were in their full flight. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting when they come to Madrid. I think definitely gonna be a game to watch out for.
Yeah, the Iñaki brothers, especially if we have like more injuries or like our defense missing out, like that's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, the Williams brothers, man. Like Nico has like proven himself like, extremely to be good, and Iñaki, like I've always felt Iñaki had that ability to miss empty open nets,
He
but this
does.
season
Even in the last game he did.
yeah, but somehow he's still managing to score this season, so that's kind of surprising for me. Yeah, I don't really want to end up on at the end bearing the brunt of Iñaki Williams scoring a goal, a guy who can score open net scoring against you. Like for me, like extremely shameful. So, but yeah, that game is going to be definitely good. But first of all, we need to take care of the business at the Bernabeu and against Sevilla.
Absolutely. So let's quickly run through the lineup. It's Nyland in goal, Jesus Navas at right back, Loic Bade, and Ramos as centre backs because Marcao is out. Acuna is out at left back, so it's going to be Pedrosa. One interesting stat I found was that it wasn't actually Acuna who in previous seasons he was the one with the most assists on the team. Like this time it's actually Pedrosa, so he's doing something right, or maybe I haven't seen him too much, but then he's doing something
I
right in
think he
terms of
used
the
to be
stats.
Espanyol before, Ante Pedrosa,
Mm.
and now he's at Sevilla. But for me, like whenever the opportunity has been there, it's like the Acuna has performed better and Pedrosa hasn't performed that great. But given the injuries and given some of the international commitments and whatever, I think it's like it is understandable that probably Pedrosa got a few chances and he had assists and stuff.
Absolutely. And over in the middle of the park, it might be Ocampos. We're not really sure. There's conflicting reports. Oliver Torres, I guess. Sumare, So might be injured. Who else can play at right winger? Maybe Lamela is back.
The app that I have is showing Lamela to be injured, and just Lucas Acampos is also injured. So for me, it's definitely going to be interesting. Like out on the wings is gonna be probably be, like the guy you mentioned before. I forgot his name. Is Romero, was it? Isaac Romero,
Isaac
I think.
Romero.
Yeah, probably him, Suso. Those guys might be playing. Right back, I think instead of Navas, probably go with Juanlu. Maybe because I don't. That's just my
Man,
suspicion, not
it's
like anything.
yeah. I mean, they've always played, even when they've had the opportunity to play other players. Like they've always played just Navas, and he's always performed well against us. It's not like he has enough experience to like not get beat by his man very easily.
Yeah, that's fine, but I think like Juanlu has been slowly getting more starts ahead of him, so that's why I was kind of expecting him to start. But you have a valid point. In big games, the experience of Jesus Navas is going to be integral. So I think it's possible that he starts ahead of him
Okay. And of course, it's going to be El Nesiri at the top. 7 goals in La Liga, top scorer in the season.
for Sevilla.
Yeah.
And Nasiri, yeah, man, Nasiri is like he is this guy when he's on form. He's really good, but when he's off form, he's like you kind of wonder like is it the same striker? But man, yeah, if Nasiri is in form, especially given how good he is in the air, and we still are without Rudiger, is gonna be a problem for us.
Yeah. That's do you actually think Rudiger could be back? Like all signs are pointing to it, but then not sure.
They say that he finished the training session today, like he took part in the training. So I'm hopeful. But then we also had the same reports like before, suddenly he was ruled out for muscular injury. So just being cautious.
Right. And I guess last but not the least, this was the big elephant in the room. Ramos, return of him, and we're gonna actually have a tribute for him. So is it gonna happen before the game or
Yeah, that is why I heard that there's going to be a small tribute before the game. They wanted to do a bigger tribute, but they think there's an important game for both teams, so they don't really want to mess everything up. But there's going to be a little something for Ramos before the game starts, from what I hear.
Well, what do you expect from him? So do you actually see him like absolutely taking out Vinny or finishing Rodrigo? What's gonna happen?
I think it is a big game. Sergio Ramos is coming back to the Bernabeu, so he's gonna be charged up and he's gonna give his best. This is only the second time he's coming to the Bernabeu and playing as an opponent, and the first time he did was like way back in the early 2000s. So it's gonna be interesting, and I fully expect him to completely rise to the challenge and show his best because he's at the Bernabeu and Sergio Ramos at the Bernabeu is like completely different prospect.
Yeah, so he's definitely scoring, right? And what is gonna be your reaction? Are you actually gonna be smiling or crying?
I don't know. It depends. If he scores their own goal, I'll be very happy.
Yeah, I mean, he has the tendency to do that this season, but yeah, big up to Sergio Ramos, man. Still going the age of this 38.
Yeah, man. Like Ramos, I think his career has been incredible, especially with Madrid. La Decima and everything, and the especially the leadership that he showed at the club. I mean, I've seen some people on Twitter like kind of having arguments about where they put him on their legend status and stuff,
Really? There's still
having some
discussions
debates.
going on about that? My
Yeah,
God.
I mean, especially there are some fans that are like more concerned about the sociological, like I don't know, societal aspect, or I don't know, off the field things. So there are some issues, especially with the contracts and everything, that some people kind of seem to be pissed off about. But I mean, what Ramos did for Real Madrid for me personally is like undeniable. So you can't really challenge that thing. Ramos, like he's one of the most legendary captains in Real Madrid's history, and for me personally, he's the best captain I've ever seen at Real Madrid. So yeah, Sergio Ramos coming back to the Bernabeu is going to be special. I kind of wish that his career had ended with Madrid instead of him having to go back to Sevilla and having a layover at PSG. But yeah, whatever happened. I hope he finishes off his career well. After losing at the Bernabeu. So yeah, man, like Ramos, hopefully when he retires, he comes back to Madrid and is like part of the club in some respects. So that's what I can hope for at this point in time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it did, for me, like the PSG stint did leave kind of a bad taste in my mouth, but he also had funny moments. I mean, Messi and him playing on the same team when they had all of that history. It was fun to see.
Now, I actually don't blame him for going to PSG. It's like the thing is like this guy wanted 2 years deal and Madrid weren't giving him. So yeah, the negotiations happen. For like the only thing that people seem to dislike about it is like the how they use the press, especially his brother. I know his brother and Florentino, from what the rumors are, don't really get along, and like he doesn't really like the agency that his brother represents. So they used a lot of in the press, to get some news out and to pressure the club and everything. So those tactics are like, I think the club didn't really like it. So they kind of pulled the offer, and whatever happens. Like it's public knowledge, and everybody knows about it. So that's the only thing. But for me, from once you aren't getting a contract from Madrid, I think he has to look out for himself. He has to do what's best for him. And he went to PSG, who probably gave him the best money. He was injured for a whole year, and
Yeah.
he enjoyed his time there. So I mean, I'm not complaining. Take whatever money you can from PSG. And the thing is, like watching him, you said about Messi, but it was also interesting watching him and Mbappe and Hakimi. All of them getting together and putting out videos and everything. Those were kind of funny to watch as well. So yeah, I mean, not much to complain from me personally. We never like we did face him when we did face PSG when he was there, but he was injured, thankfully. So nothing really bad happened to us. And the only complaint that I might have towards Ramos is the fact that he put his A game against us when we went to Sevilla. So I hope he doesn't bring his A game.
Yeah, man, that was a difficult game. But yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps it up in terms of Sevilla. And I guess we can go for a short break and hear from Doris where she talks about Manscaped. And when we come back, we'll talk about, all of the stuff going on in Madrid, the injuries, Toni Kroos actually going for the Euros, a bit of Mbappe, maybe even Taylor Swift. But yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. And Daniel said, I know he said, big up, guys, Hala Madrid, Ina Damas, just moments ago, just as we were about to play the ad from Doris. But yeah, man, come back. We're going to be here.
Hola Madridistas, I'm back once again to remind you guys that we're partnered up with Manscaped, and if you want to help and support this project and this little family of ours, be sure to check out Manscaped and use code LBR20 at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. So 2024 is in full swing. We're already a month in, and if you had any New Year's resolutions to look better, feel better, I have a company called Manscaped. They're trusted by more than 10 million men worldwide, and if you want to take a positive step, in a good direction this year, start with yourself. And Manscaped asked us to introduce you guys to the new lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. It's a hair trimmer, for your sensitive bits. It features skin safe technology, to keep your sensitive bits safe. It has an LED bright, it's waterproof, you can use it in the shower. You get 2 extra heads, blade heads, to go either full smooth or an normal blade head. If you want to go all in, you can get the whole package. You get a nose trimmer, you get crop preserver, it's a ball deodorant, you get some aftershave, and in the box you also get some boxers and a bag, to keep all of those things in. So yeah, if you're interested, go to manscaped.com, use code LBR20 to get 20% off at checkout, and free shipping. That's LBR20 to get 20% off, and free shipping at manscaped.com. And thank you guys, and back to the video.
Cool. Welcome, guys. We're back. Especially you, Danielson. Hope you didn't leave. But yeah, we're back, man. And it's not really that much of good news. There's some highlights in terms of Madrid. Maybe Rudiger is back, but we're not really sure on that front either. I'll just list out all of the injured and missing players, man. Carvajal is out, obviously, with the red card. The appeal in his case, it got rejected for obvious reasons. Courtois is actually back in training, but he's not going to feature anytime soon. Alaba, Militao, Bellingham are also out. Bellingham, I believe he just started training on the pitch again. Maybe back in a couple of weeks, maybe for Valencia or for Leipzig, depending on how that goes. Joselu, the big news, he's out for 3 weeks with, I believe, an injury to his ankle, and they called it bone edema. I didn't even know you can get edema on your bone, man.
Yeah, it's like, even like for me, when I heard bone edema, I was kind of like trying to figure out what they meant. There's like a bone marrow edema thing, where basically the marrow kind of swells because of repeated injuries, or there can be multiple causes, but I think it's probably due to repeated injuries in this case. So yeah, there's a swelling in the bone. It probably take some medication and let it rest and hope it goes down. So yeah, it is kind of funny to watching Madrid. You kind of get to learn new pathologies that you weren't really familiar with. So yeah, that was kind of funny.
It's fascinating as a doctor, but then it's fucked as a fan.
No, this is like incredibly specialized field of medicine, because these guys, like, not every, as a regular doctor, you don't really get to see these guys and everything. But like, when you are working in that field every day, you get to see injuries kind of like this, and you're more familiar with it. So for me, because that is not my area of expertise, so I don't really know much about it. But it was kind of it's kind of interesting to get to learn about it watching Real Madrid. And this is the funny thing, you are always learning something from Madrid. It's not just about sports, it's also about other things, because following Madrid, I kind of got to learn more about finance than I did doing anything else. So it's kind of funny.
Absolutely. But yeah, man, this Joselu injury has me totally worried. This now means that we officially have no plan B if somehow shit hits the fan against Leipzig or anything.
I mean, Arda Güler might get a little bit more game time, so that's kind of good.
Yeah, I guess the Turkish fans are like silently celebrating right now. But yeah.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting. But the thing is, like, I am kind of confident in Ancelotti and his ability to figure things out. The good news on the center back front is, I think Marvel, like one of important center backs for Castilla, is coming back from injury, so then we could be good on have backup on that, and at least in the future, maybe if he gets a little bit of game time, gets some match fitness and everything. On the strikers, and yeah, Joselu is a big miss, but I think it could open up a door for Castilla and Alvaro, the guy who scored the goal against Atleti last season, probably gives him a chance because he has that same, let's say, archetype that Joselu does. Although I think Alvaro hasn't really performed well this season for Castilla. So for me, yeah, it does open a door, and let's see what solutions Ancelotti comes up with because I'm sure he will figure something out.
Yeah, so early on in the season, like we were talking about Alvaro missing out because of poor form, and just the fact that we have so less forward, so we were expecting him to actually come on this season, and it hasn't happened. So he's still out of form, yeah.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the season he was also having some injuries, back injuries and stuff. But I think recently, like I haven't really watched Castilla, but like from everybody who does, I've been kind of hearing the fact that he's been incredibly poor in form, and like they're kind of surprised, like the player from last season has completely disappeared. So it's kind of disheartening to see that happen.
Yeah, but like it or not, like I feel like he, like you said, he's the only archetype similar to Joselu, and if we need to put some crosses in, he's the guy.
Yeah, he's the guy, and I think Ancelotti kind of is more familiar with him, so he's probably gonna, if something different is needed, we could potentially call him up. But there are other players as well. Nico Paz is there, and Gonzalo Garcia is there, so there are other players as well.
Yeah, so we saw them all in training, yeah. There was also one more new guy. I haven't seen him yet. Saw him training and then posing with Kamavinga and Vinny and whatnot.
What's his name?
Forgot his name. Forgot his name, but yeah, I saw him in the training video that they posted. Haven't seen him yet.
Okay. I'll probably look it up later and see who that is because I've been like kind of feeling a little bit under the weather, so I haven't really kept up with the training videos and everything. So I'm kind of lost.
Yeah, the training videos are always fun. You get to see a bit of Modric, even when he doesn't play, whatnot.
Yeah, I think he could potentially play tomorrow, right?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if Rudiger isn't back, then we have no option but to play.
Yeah, so we could be seeing
Yeah.
more, outside of the training videos. Maybe last week I was a little bit too harsh on him, and this time around he comes and shuts me up. So I'm
Oh
hoping
man.
he does that.
But yeah, I guess that's a good segue into actually heading into the lineups. Because let's say worst case scenario, Rudiger is still missing and Tchouaméni has to play centre back. That means that our midfield is very, very thin. It's basically Modric, Cruz, and Valverde. So who's actually going to play as DM? It's going to be Cruz, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be Cruz and probably Modric and Fede Valverde trying to flank him. I think hopefully Fede plays on the right and Modric plays on the left. And left back is probably gonna be Mendy. I think he's coming back now. We have Nacho being present, captain. Probably Tchouaméni if Rudiger isn't back playing as a centre back and Lucas Vazquez playing on the right back. So that's gonna be funny, but like yeah, it is what it is. And then I hope that Lunin has like completely made up spot his own, and there's no discussion about bringing Kepa back. But I wouldn't be surprised, like I said previously as well. Like they bought in Kepa, so they decide, okay, maybe one game we give it to you. That's gonna be. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but I think Lunin is gonna start in the goalkeeping position.
Absolutely.
Up front, I think it's gonna be Vinicius and Rudiger and Brahim.
Vinicius.
Sorry, Rudiger, not Rudiger.
I mean, I wouldn't totally mind, if it's at the 85th minute and you see Rudiger at striker. It's not a bad idea.
I hope that doesn't happen. We aren't in that situation. I hope we're already winning by 5 or 6-0 by then. So.
Absolutely. It was interesting with Kepa. So I read reports that he was like totally unhappy, obviously, because he's not getting minutes. Did he realistically have a chance in the Spanish team for the Euros?
I think it's the second keeper for Spain, so I think he probably didn't. Now he doesn't have. Is he going to be left out or something?
Reports are saying that he could be left out, considering his poor form and whatnot.
Yeah, for me that would be sad because I think I wouldn't really blame him too much for poor form. He didn't make a couple of mistakes, but I think other than that he was pretty solid. And when you look at the stats, he's been like one of the better performing keepers. And when you look at Spanish keepers, I don't really think there's anybody else who could you go and say, oh man, this guy should be ahead of Kepa. Like maybe Arsenal fans might say David Raya should be there, and Unai Simon is like the undisputed number one. I think Kepa should be undisputed number two. David Raya you bring in as the third keeper. I don't really see anybody else apart from that. To like I would think, man, this guy should be the national team.
Yeah, I mean, is De Gea? I mean, he was left out of the national team for a long time, right? It's been a while.
I mean, David De Gea hasn't played like in a long time, right?
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
There's no
Man, it's
question
just
about
visual
it.
thinking, man. I just loved De Gea as a goalie.
You love David De Gea, man. Like, you're the first person I've ever met who's told me I love David De Gea. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I used to watch all of those United highlights, and David De Gea was the MVP in
Curse,
those games.
cursing the fax machine.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, we have the starting lineup, but do we actually have a plan B? Like, who are the actual substitutes who can come on? Arda Güler? Who else?
Yeah, I mean, if it's that way, I guess you only have Arda Güler left. I don't really see anybody else. I mean, but the thing is the thing about injuries. They always leave you thin. The good thing is, like, at least we can scrape together players to play. Put out a proper 11, even when all these players are injured. But yeah, like, substitute, I think it's going to be Arda and Fran. I'm struggling to remember other names. Maybe Dani Ceballos.
Ceballos, yeah,
Yeah,
heck
apart from
yeah.
that, I don't really. Yeah, nobody else comes to mind.
Man, it's peak. Potentially, like, who do you see from Castilla who can actually start? Is Nico Paz on form? Is he healthy and whatnot?
For me personally, I think even only Nico Paz is the guy who Ancelotti might decide to bring into the team. But the thing is, like, he's not gonna play him ahead of the first teamers because we know how Ancelotti is, and he's like always gonna give the first teamers a chance before he gives it to the Castilla players. So I think Arda Güler, Ceballos, and Fran Garcia are probably potentially the only changes he's gonna make if he does, unless I'm missing out on any names that.
Yeah, I don't think there are other names more. I think this is it.
This is it. Only 3 substitutions.
Yep. If we're lucky. Carlo might
If
even
you're
forget
lucky.
that we have 5 substitutes. So, okay. Anyways, I guess that pretty much wraps up the lineup as well. So let's talk about. I'm just super excited to talk about the next 3 topics, man.
Okay.
The Tony Cruz in the Euros. Did you see that happening? For me, it was a total surprise. I thought he was like gonna say, ask them to fuck off after everything that happened.
Now, for me, the funny thing is, like, if he had to say no, he would have said like or no at the start. But the fact that he took this time to decide made me think that he was considering it. He has decided to come back, but I don't really see what Germany gained from him coming back. Yeah, I mean, Tony Cruz is a brilliant player, so obviously you gain the experience and you gain the quality. But does it really help them? Because I don't really think midfield was the problem. The problem has always been the fact that they don't really have a striker, and the wing backs aren't really good. So for me, Tony Cruz doesn't fix either of those problems.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Is it actually still Timo Werner for them up top at striker?
I don't know. I don't really think anybody plays for them. I think it's Nicolas Fulkrug and all those guys.
Oh,
I think Timo Werner is like if he gets called up, it's like a winger or something, not as a striker.
right. And
Maybe
yeah, we know how Sane and Gnabry are. I mean, they do miss a lot of chances as well.
yeah, man. I think a lot of us like kind of I know a lot of criticism gets leveled towards Rodrigo, but when you compare it to players like these, everybody's like, yeah, man. If he had Sane, if he had Gnabry, if he had like this guy, if he had that guy, but then Rodrigo is like better than all of them. So I think we don't really appreciate our players a lot when you look at players like Sane and Gnabry, who like they're good players, but they aren't really as prolific as we think they are.
100%. I guess. Do you feel like, let's say, does this mean anything for Tony Cruz's retirement? Him actually going to the Euros?
I mean, we can sit and speculate. I mean, we do
Oh yeah,
a
that's
podcast,
what
so
we
we
always
do.
do, man. Like we sit and speculate.
Yeah, we can sit and speculate. So for me personally, I think if the Euros go exceptionally well and somehow Germany end up winning the Euros, if I was Cruz, I could potentially see this, as the point to stop my career
Sign from
because
the
it doesn't
universe,
really
yeah.
get better than this. You have won everything at club level, you have won everything at national level. So what more is there to do? So it could be the end. But if it doesn't really go well, then probably you'll be thinking, okay, man, let's give it one more season and end it on a high next season. So those are 2 things that keep in my mind because Zidane also, France went to the World Cup. Although I think Zidane had decided even before the World Cup started that this was going to be his end. So yeah, he could go down the route of Zidane and end it with the Euros.
Yeah. Speaking of the other guy who could potentially get retired, did you see the report that Ancelotti offered Modric like a coaching position?
Yeah, I did, and that's kind of surprised because if I was Modric, I would kind of find it insulting because every report that I've seen from Modric's end has been the fact that if he does not continue at Real Madrid, he's gonna play at another club because he still thinks he has some football left in him. And immediately after that report came out, there was another report like saying, Modric has decided he's not gonna like Modric immediately told Ancelotti that he's not gonna be there and he wants to continue. It's not blah blah blah. Blah. From Modric, I think it was in some Croatian newspaper, so it's probably being fed by Modric's representation and everything. So yeah, for me personally, given how Modric is and how he probably thinks about himself, reading all the reports, if I was Modric, I would kind of find it insulting. This guy I want to play on is asking me to be a manager coach
Yeah.
and stuff.
So yeah, man, I feel like we have to soon talk about like where his potential destination can be. We know earlier on in the season, like Beckham met him and then maybe called him up to Inter Miami.
Yeah, I mean that's a valid thing. Maybe Inter Miami. There was also some speculation about him going to Saudi, playing with Cristiano at Al Nassr. That could be an option. Or there might be some team in Europe who wants him. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to a club like Milan or something, because they could use his experience. They have a good young team. Some experience for a player like Modric might be there, and I think Modric is even with his declining physical attributes, I think Modric can do well in this area because it isn't as a high pace. So I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Italy, or maybe he decides to go back to Croatia, and play for Dinamo. So.
Oh man, that'll be a sight to see. I mean, I'm sure Doris would appreciate it.
I mean, I think Doris is a split fan, Hajduk, so she might not appreciate it that much because they have a rivalry over there. But I mean, Modric is Modric, yeah. He's a Croatian hero.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the fit. You're talking about AC Milan, right? Not Inter Milan.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
did you hear
No,
from
no,
midweek?
Inter.
Inter Milan have the best playmaker in the world, Çalhanoğlu,
Yeah, like
self-proclaimed.
he's a deep line playmaker. Hakan, I don't know, but I kind of think it was like he was a little bit taken out of context because there was this guy who was like asking him questions, and he didn't really mention Hakan like till the end. So he was basically asking like where would you rank these registas, and he was like first he said Rodri, he said second, Cruz, third, and I think there were some two other players like Enzo and there was another guy I forgot his name.
Yeah.
And then at the end he says Hakan, and I was like okay, what? So that was kind of funny. I don't think it was like that serious. That we have to kind of get like all angry about it. But yeah, it was kind of funny.
Hmm.
But I think Hakan, despite everything that has been said, Hakan like has completely reinvented himself because he used to be an attacking midfielder, especially when he was in Germany, and even when he was playing at Milan. So to go from there to being a deep lying playmaker, the transition that he has made, has been incredible. And even maybe against Atleti, it wasn't his best game, but still he was pretty influential for me. And like
Yeah, man, he
out
had
of all
a
the three midfield,
really nice couple of through balls.
yeah, and out of all the three midfielders, I kind of found him to be doing his role the best. So for me personally, yeah, Barella and Hakan are like probably one of the better midfielders in Europe this season.
Absolutely. I guess let's talk about the Turtle Man now. It's been coming. So reports are by Fabrizio, especially like that's what I saw. 100 million sign on. It's going to be a similar salary to Vinny or Bellingham, and maybe Bellingham even gets like a salary bump because he comes. So, what do you take on that? Like, do you think 100 million sign on over 5 years is like a bit too much, or like it's totally what you expected?
I think it was like between 100 to 150. That's what's been rumored. Like it would be along expected lines because everybody was kind of saying he'll be probably getting 120 million. So it is expected. It isn't a huge surprise. But from reports I had read, like I remember I think it was Sports Zone. They were saying that they want 150 million in signing on bonus like the Mbappe camp. So that's probably not going to be a big issue for me. The biggest issue has always been image rights. I want to see like how what kind of agreement they come to it because I think even the last time that we had these negotiations with uh, Mbappe, like no, not we, but Real Madrid had these negotiations with Mbappe. They image rights had been a sticking point. So it's going to be interesting to see how they resolve it. And I think from all the reports, that's the one thing they're negotiating on right now. So, and before they put pen to paper, I think that's the biggest thing to get over. As for wages, I remember there was a Real Madrid vice president who did an interview in September, October, and they were saying that most Real Madrid players have like similar uh, basic salaries. So it's like their fixed pay is similar, but they have a lot of bonuses. So that is what actually differentiates what they get at the end of the season. So for me, Mbappe, while he might be at the same category as Vinicius and Bellingham in the fixed payments, but he's probably going to have a lot more bonuses that are probably going to take him a lot higher than the others.
Absolutely.
And especially given the fact that we are probably going to give him a lot more image rights, 70-30, or maybe, something that we don't really give to everybody. Because I think every Real Madrid plays like 50-50 on image rights, except from Vinny and Bellingham, who's probably have like 60% or something.
Mhm.
So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, Ashik is in the comments. He says, "Yo, Maja, what's up, boys? And you excited about Mbappe coming to Real Madrid for another season?" Yeah, man, he joined. He always manages to join us whenever we talk about Mbappe. It's not that we always talk
Yeah.
about Mbappe. Just when you join, we are talking about Mbappe.
When Ashik is here, we have to talk about Mbappe, yeah?
Yeah.
But man, it's like, how can you not be excited about Mbappe? It's like, yeah, man, everything that has happened, but like this guy still remains the best player in the world. And unlike Eden Hazard, he seems to be somebody who's like competitively inclined, somebody who wants to be the best and somebody who wants to be efficient. Those kind of guys like do well at Madrid. So, I'm kind of excited to see what Mbappe does when he comes to Madrid.
Yeah, Ashik says, I think Mbappe is leaving PSG because they can't allow him to manscape. Escaping PSG for manscape.
Yeah,
Oh boy. Ashik with the wordplay as always,
he could probably use the, what was it? Beard hedger. He could probably use it on his head.
Absolutely. Man, but do you see any other dominoes falling? So in terms of players, do you feel like the likes of Rodrigo or Brahim, like especially since Endrick is also coming on, Arda Güler as well, he hasn't been able to play at all. So do you think when Mbappe and Endrick comes, like we potentially see some of the others leaving or
It's
going out
very
on loan?
interesting. For me, the biggest question is if we'll make Joselu permanent.
Mm.
Because although Joselu does offer something different, it is important to keep in mind that he's over 30 and we're going to be spending 1.5 million to sign him because that's
Man, that's peanuts. That's peanuts.
now it's going to be 1.5 million, and given that he's over 30, he's probably going to get 1 year contract. So you're spending 1.5 million plus wages over 1 year for a player, like getting a player for 1 year. And then Real Madrid, I think they are getting towards a play style that is more focused on combination plays around the box. So and Joselu doesn't really fit that, but Joselu offers something different. So for me, that's an important thing. Rodrigo is somebody who fits in that combination play aspect. He's very good at it. Raheem also fits that. He's also very good at it. Joselu is the odd man out. So it's gonna be interesting to see. But like you said, it could be that Ada or somebody goes out on loan and Joselu gets in. But then there's also the question of Endrick. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be an interesting situation overall.
Yeah, man. Like Farooq is also here. He says hello from the other side. Did you cut your bun, Jacob? No, man. It's behind me. You just can't see it because of the angle. But yeah, I did trim it out.
Maybe he's thinking use some Manscaped products.
Oh yeah, like how do you think I got the fade? Farooq, by the way, like it's awesome pictures that you had, man. I didn't know you were so photogenic.
Farouk is just waiting for some offer from GQ.
Yeah.
Any moment now.
Yeah, but yeah, guys, anyone listening on, like, go check out our Instagram for Farouk's photos, especially if you miss him, like we do. All right, man. I guess we can slowly wrap this. Oh, wait. I did have another thing to ask you, like, about the Taylor Swift concert. Are you actually going to be tuning in for that?
I mean, definitely. Why not? Taylor Swift has okay, maybe she's not my most favorite singer, but I mean, she's a pretty good singer. Some of her songs are pretty good. So I mean, why not? If it's at the Bernabeu, why not?
Oh, are you someone who in your childhood listened to Love Story all the time?
No, man. I mean, why are you spilling all my secrets out today? What is your problem?
Yeah, it's just the part, right time to get personal when there's not a lot of people around. It's just Ashik and Farouk. You can let it loose.
I mean, I haven't really heard a lot of Taylor Swift songs, but I mean, I have heard like she writes some good stuff.
Yeah.
I remember listening to one song when I was I was like going to the closest shop and to buy something, and I was like kind of bored. So turned on the radio, and there was one song of hers. I haven't even forgotten what the name was, but I kind of find yeah, she's a decent singer. She's a pretty good singer. I mean, you don't make billions out of songs if you weren't a good singer. So yeah, I mean, Taylor Swift at the Bernabeu, why not? A good time to give it a shot.
Yeah, it was just funny like this way because we were trying to push up a La Liga game just so that we can have more preparation time for the concert.
I mean, Taylor Swift is more important than La Liga. Yet.
Yeah. Ashik asks, Mbappe signing is a hype signing. We need a natural right back who's quality and a younger central defender and a left back. The midfield is pretty stacked, and up front we need a quality point man. Mbappe is not a necessity.
I mean, the thing is, like Mbappe, it might not be a necessity, but that's the same thing that we kind of talked about Jude last season, right? You're talking about how we have enough in midfield, we should be signing a striker. I think the plan is to sign as many quality players as possible, and then figure it out from there. So Mbappe is somebody, if he's available, you never say no to. And about the right back, I think for now with Carvajal and Lucas, we are decently stacked. Probably, next summer we could go. There were some rumors about Hakimi, like in the past couple of weeks, so that could be something interesting. But we'll see what happens, next summer. And as for centre back, they're kind of like looking at Euro. Like I said, since December, they've been following him for a long time. But if Jorge Mendes wants him to go to PSG, there's not much Real Madrid can do about it. And given the amount Lille is asking for, it's going to be interesting. And the one player I've always wanted at Madrid is Bastoni. So 2025, Bastoni could be the potential for Real Madrid.
Oh
Get
man,
ushering
Bastoni
a new
against
era.
Atleti like really showed his ability, man. Especially his playing out of the back.
Yeah, playing out of the back and his ability. I saw him crossing the ball from like center of the pitch into the box. I mean, as a center back, how do you do that? And if Madrid face Inter Milan, that's the one thing that scares this scares me a lot because those balls you can't really stop them. So yeah, Bastoni is somebody I really like, and I want to see him at Madrid if possible.
Absolutely. And as for the like, I take issue with the statement that our midfield is actually stacked. So, like, potentially Toni Kroos and Modric both are leaving. Then we actually don't have a ball-playing midfielder who's like the metronome of this team.
Yeah, I mean it all depends on the kind of formation we play. If we're only going to start with three midfielders, you have like Jude, Fede, Chouameni coming. I think that's potentially not like that's enough depth. And then you have the likes of Arda and Nico Paz as well, who could step in when needed. But I mean, if the club feels the need of a ball-playing midfielder, they could easily get him. I mean, there are good options in the market. Like, I mean, you can't really get a player like Toni Kroos because Toni Kroos is like one.
Yeah.
There aren't anybody else like Toni Kroos, but you could adjust around and see if somebody else in the market, somebody who is good on the ball who can do a decent job circulating the ball. So somebody comes in and does the job.
Yeah, someone like Çalhanoğlu, maybe.
Cheap line playmaker. Yeah, but Çalhanoğlu is like I think it's a little bit old for Real Madrid.
Yeah,
Pushing 30, I think.
absolutely. Couple more comments from Ashik. He says, "I know Taylor Swift was trouble when she walked in." Yeah,
Yeah,
throwback
I
to
mean
the song of the lyrics.
that's a true sign of a Swiftie.
Yeah. But Real Madrid is tailor-made for swift resolution to scheduling conflict. Man,
Ashik has a way with words.
yeah. The next one also is like, fuck. I don't even want to read this. It almost makes me cringe slightly. Taylor Swift will have a delicate performance at the Bernabeu, and there won't be any bad blood. So you heard the song "Bad Blood," yeah?
No, I haven't.
Oh man. Yeah, and Farooq asks, Cruz playing in the Euros means he actually continues next year. Well, like depending on how the Euros go, like Mo said, it could mean that he stops his career right there. We don't know. We can just speculate, man. But it could go either way.
Yeah, man. Like you've said everything.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Do you have anything else to talk about, or you think we covered it out?
I mean, not really much. I'm just like over the midweek is kind of happy Atleti lost, Barcelona drew, but I hope Barcelona get knocked out of the Champions League. But this was like the worst week of Champions League I've ever watched, apart from the Inter Atleti game, because Inter Atleti game was quality, especially incredible quality in that game. But Barcelona Napoli game looked fit for a Europa League game or maybe even a Conference League game. So I hope both these teams are in the Conference League next season. Hope
Yeah.
Barcelona are in the Champions League, but yeah, they gotta win the Champions League next season.
Were you surprised about the Arsenal game?
I didn't actually watch Arsenal. I don't know. Some Arsenal fans seem to like really think too much about the club. I remember there were some squad lists being thrown around Twitter where there are nine Arsenal players and two Real Madrid players in a combined 11. So I kind of think that at this level of the competition, you need a little bit more experience. I still expect Arsenal to go through because when they take the game back to Emirates, I think they have a lot of quality, especially players like Saka and even Martinelli. I think They had a bad game, but you don't really expect them to do it every time. So it's going to be interesting to see how Porto cope with it. They have they have something to fight for at the Emirates. It's going to be interesting game, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, man. Like it's gonna take something special from Pepe to actually come through.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Ashik says, yeah, clearly Arsenal attack is no match for Pepe. And Ajay, Ajay Makwana is here in the comments. He says, Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.
I guess, man, let's go to predictions. Are you predicting Sergio Ramos hat-trick or?
Every time I predicted an easy game for Madrid, we somehow messed it up, and every time I predicted a tough game, we have somehow had it easy. So for me, yeah, very tough game, man. It's gonna be a one-win draw. Sergio Ramos scoring a goal, like on both ends, one goal for them, one goal for us.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't really predict anything, man. Like I'm just like worthless at predictions, so the universe doesn't take anything from me. I'm gonna go with a very hard fought 2-1 victory because they always somehow make it difficult for us, and we make life difficult for us against Sevilla. So
I'm just gonna give you an interesting stat, potentially jinxing the club, but you can do all your anti-jinx stuff, everything. But I think the last 15 visits for Sevilla, they haven't won a single time, and we have kind of won every time. So it's gonna, I think, yeah, the chances are good. I hope we deliver it. We step up our performance and we don't repeat what happened at the Vallecas.
absolutely. And Ajay says it's gonna be a 2-0 Madrid win, easy. Ashik says no, it's gonna be a no Joselu hat-trick this match, but it's still gonna be final Real Madrid.
I hope so.
Yeah, man, but unless if Joselu was actually fit, I'm sure he would have scored a hat-trick.
I don't know what to say to that.
But yeah, guys, we'll leave from here. I guess pick up every one of you in the chat: Ashik, Madriti, Danielson, Farouk, and Ajay. Thank you all of you guys for being here. And if you're new here and somehow haven't subscribed to us yet, do hit the subscribe and hit the like button, man. Really helps us out. Also, it's like one of we absolutely would appreciate if you can actually get something to support us from Manscaped. It doesn't really cost that much if you just buy like a ball wipes, which is just basically wet wipes for your balls, and maybe even a t-shirt. So if you use the code, you can get it for potentially 15 or 16 bucks. So yeah, if you can, do support us, man, and do check out our Instagram as well. I think we'll have some awesome content from the Bernabeu in the Sevilla game, so keep your eyeballs peeled for that. Last but not the least, big up our partners over at Real Madrid Committee. Check out their awesome Instagram page on Instagram. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and the Manscaped code is LBR20. If anybody forgets, LBR20.
LBR20 at manscaped.com. Absolutely. I guess we bid farewell, man. You know what to say.
Yeah, Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.